Yeah, I mean, that's a pretty pessimistic view. Now, I don't believe the Prime Minister has announced that the age of getting old age security is going to be 67. I'm fortunately well past that. I shouldn't say fortunately, I am. That's just a fact of life. So it's going to be harder, but I think there is not a Canadian government that would be stupid enough to eliminate that sort of social network. In fact, I should say there's another program called Gains that is a supplement to if you only have old age pension and Canada pension, then there's another program called Gains that I'm told takes you up to about $15,000. It's not a lot of money. That's not a lot of money. That's the problem. And my advantage have been, look, I'm still earning royalties on books that I wrote back in the 70s, not the 60s, but in the 70s. And so that's a great thing.
You forgot about GIS.
Pardon me?
You forgot about GIS. The Guaranteed Income Supplement.
Yeah, the guaranteed.
If you're eligible for GIS, then you're eligible for Gains.
Yeah. Yes, that's right. So I've never been on those programs. Can you tell us about that? I think this is very important. Incidentally, there is no shame in doing this. People got to get. This is thing that you worked for. The Canadian people want you to have it. For God's sake, apply. You do have to apply, I'm told. But can you help us, please?
Well, I can a little bit. I'm not sure. Do actors pay into CPP? Yes. Okay. Sure. Come on up.
And the fact that we haven't addressed that is very important, and this is what this is all about. I mean, if you have these pertinent questions, we need to talk about it and try and help you figure out what needs to be done to access all of these things.
Okay, my name's Carol Libman, and I happen to work for CARP, which supports my playwriting. And we do a lot on, I'm sorry, can you hear me? We do a lot on financial retirement income. We aren't financial planners, but we do a lot of work trying to convince the governments to do the right thing. In fact, we had a whole campaign called Hands Off OAS. You can find it on our website. We had, for the first time, one of our surveys, the NDP was ahead of the Conservatives. It didn't happen after that either, but it may happen again. And in the event, CPP, of course, is the CPP, OAS, and GIS are the three bases of old age security payments in Canada outside of your own investments and so on. And if you are eligible for, if you've paid into CPP, then obviously you're eligible for it. You have to make sure that they drop out. There's a certain dropout number of years. I think it's 7. And if there, at any point, if you haven't worked very much, or you're bringing up kids and haven't been working, then those are dropped out, because your average, your payment, it depends on the average of what you've paid into CPP. On top of that, there's OAS doesn't kick in until you're 65. GIS, if you are 65, you are eligible for 65 for GIS if your income is under a certain level. If you are married to somebody who is eligible for OAS, there is an allowance. All this stuff is on the website. And if you can get the line, calling early in the morning, you can call, what's it called, Canada?
Service Canada.
Service Canada, thank you. And the number is 1-800-277-9914. You can get it on the website too. But phone them early in the morning if you want to make sure that all your stuff is there and that everything you're eligible for comes through. I think you have to fill it out every year. I don't remember that. We wanted to make... You do, eh?
GIS.
Okay. And GIS, yes. There is something else now too, and that's Trillium, which is a combination of the energy credit and the sales tax credit in Ontario. And it is starting to come in the beginning of July, or maybe it's the end of July. It comes once a month. Before that, there were a couple of payments, January and March, and it's also related to your income. We had complaints about, some people said, well, I like to get it at the end of the year after I pay my taxes, if I have any taxes to pay, because I get a nice lump sum payment and then I can do something with it. But then other people said, I need it at the end of the month so I don't have to go to the food bank. So and those are the people we kind of worried about more.
What's the current threshold for GIS?
I think it's graduated, and you start out getting at about 18,000 or something. You get a little, and then you get a little more as it comes down. I wasn't prepared. I was working with my director, and I didn't know about this was going to happen, so I don't have the numbers in front of you.
It's 50 cents on the dollar that they take off, that they reduce the guaranteed income supplement. So for every dollar you make from Canada Pension, let's say you made $50 from your Canada Pension, then what would happen is the guaranteed income supplement would be reduced by $25. And the other thing that you should mention is, yes, they will take the 7 year, like it's when you were raising children under 7 years, or if you were on Ontario Disability, you can also get that thrown out. But you have to tell them and you have to apply for it. They won't automatically do that. And you also have to file your taxes every year to get the guaranteed income supplement. And the gains one is up to a maximum of $83 a month.
I think you know more about it than I do.
Gains is
This was covered in quite some detail a couple of weeks ago. And perhaps CSARN can make available to those people who weren't here the printouts.
Thank you. I think there are some printouts over on that table. Whether they are actually what you're talking about, I'm not sure. But there are, I'm not familiar with exactly what's on those sheets. But
so maybe through the website
the information
we had talked about you know, seeing what we can do, how we should organize, and this is a tremendously important. And I guess I don't know about it because I guess I'm not in that program, but a lot of writers, and that's who I really should talk about, not actors, but I suspect it's right across the whole spectrum. You know, they didn't pay CPP because they didn't have enough income, and so on. So they're really, you know, turning 65, and if they don't know about these programs, or don't know about the programs, I mean, I do know that there was just from reading the newspaper not too long ago, they said that many people are not aware of the programs that are available for. It's not, you know, and this is programs set. I mean, Parliament passed this stuff. I mean, this is something the Canadian people, you know, want us to have. So I mean, we've got to do it.
Bill?
Yeah.
Tell us about your blog and how you use it for advertising.
Okay, I run. I love running blogs. I started a blog called The End of War.ca because that's the name of my book, and I was able to get it. And not only did I have CA, I have also info, and I put on comments. It's sort of what a lot of my comments are is like op-ed pieces. Some of them are critical of, you know, some of them reflects my politics, which is pretty progressive, I like to think. But, you know, the concern I have about war is that we don't have a very realistic view of what war is like. And war is just, you know, the worst of human experiences for many people. There are millions of refugees, poverty, starvation, all of these things. The reality is that the situation of war is in fact better than it's almost been in human history right at the moment. And so I want to highlight that. You know, let's not be pessimistic. Let's work towards a system where we can eliminate war and take that last step. And I write about all those things in my blog.
Is it daily?
Pardon?
Is it daily?
No, I don't do it daily. I don't have that much energy. I do it probably twice a week.
How do you get people to look at your blog as opposed to the millions of other blogs?
It's a real problem. It's a real problem. You just keep in there plugging. you grow. People you got something interesting to say, people are going to come to your site. If people share it. Then another reason that people use Facebook is to promote their blog or tweeting. God, I can't do that. What do you have, 150 characters or something? I can't do that. I mean, I'm a writer. I need to explain stuff. I got to explain things. Yeah. I'm also involved in a group called Vote Toronto, which is a big, extensive thing. I spent a huge amount of my time, far more than I should have, I suppose, writing stuff for that. Basically, social analysis. I'm trained as a sociologist, and I miss it in a way, being a sociologist. So, it's all about voting studies. It's about poverty, actually. Huge poverty in Toronto. Huge. There's lots of opportunities to satirize our mayor, but and I do a little bit of that. There's a lot of other people doing that too. Anyway, you don't make any money doing all this stuff. People are beginning to solve that as well. If you take a look at some of the popular blogs, people will say, if you like this blog, send us some money. We need some money to support people. And people do that. Some of the best known blogs are essentially staffed by volunteer contributions. A lot of those are American, I confess. But it is going to be the new wave. Vote Toronto, one of the ways we raise money is we have fundraising. Ask people, we ask our friends to come, we do a little social, and they know that they're going to be asked, there's going to be a pitch. Not very much money, but we can pay an intern, we can pay some students to work on stuff. I don't take any money out of it.
You need a fundraising idea for CSARN. Why don't we have a nude catalog of older women?
There you are. Yeah, I'll buy one of those.
Tons of it. All famous Canadian artists. Wouldn't that be something? Artists in the broad sense, not just artists. And there's another one, the broad sense. We do have some refreshments and some food, and unless we have any other questions, I think it would be a good idea to kind of mingle and do some dialoguing, and we're here till 9 o'clock or after, as anybody wants to be. But we can open up our happy little group over there, and if you're a little bit peckish, that's kind of what we have in mind. And please keep us in your thoughts and send us whatever you have, what thoughts you have, your questions, your concerns. And to think that people don't know about all of these ways of trying to supplement income and so on is pretty shocking. I mean, those of you who are here are among the informed, certainly, and you've been here for our seminars and so on. But there are probably 2,400 or 2,500 people who have answered our surveys and told us their concerns and needs, and by gosh, they are legend. There are all kinds of problems out there, and people are uninformed. And if you know of anybody, or you know of their lack of information, or their lack of availability in terms of having access to these amounts of money that are not large, but they're not paltry either. And if they don't know how to access them, it's a pretty bad thing. We've been trying, just in a very embryonic way, to push these things, but it's something that's so concerning for everybody. Yes, there's somebody back there.
Hi, I'm a visual artist and I've come to all these workshops and they've been extremely helpful. But I was wondering if in the future you do said about senior artists and the visual arts. Very often what you get is we're looking for emerging artists. Well, what happened to us that have been around?
You've already emerged. Yeah, what about the emerged ones?
And have stuck with it despite all the hardships, right? There doesn't seem to be very much talked about. in terms of senior visual artists. You know, very often the cutoff age is 35. We only want to hear from photographers up to age 35. And, you know, the biggest grants in visual arts, like the bank, not Nova Scotia, but Royal Bank, they give $50,000 in a big visual arts competition to winners, but you have to be only up to 35 to apply. You know, and I wrote them a letter some time ago and said, you know, well, I understand that you want to help emerging artists, and I think they do need your support, but the fact is that senior artists are in the same financial situation as emerging artists often in Canada, and that's a lot of money. It's the biggest possible grant that can be given to any artist in Canada, right?
That's exactly right, and I think what we'd love to have you do is just note that and make us alert to that.
Well, I'm talking about.
Yeah, that's right, and it's being recorded as we speak.
The Seminovich Prize is exactly the same. The Seminovich Prize every year, 1 year for a director, 1 year for a designer, and 1 year
Writer.
Sorry. No performers, no actors, but these are all only actors in mid-career, or performers in mid-career. They won't consider anyone who seems to have achieved, not that you ever do in this business, but anyone who has ever arrived at anything more than
a pinnacle, I would say, is, and there are many of our wonderful senior artists who are there and go unrecognized. Anything else? Yes.
I just wanted to let people know there's a government website called Canada Benefits, and I can never remember if it's .com or .ca. You go to one and you get an insurance company. If you did .com, then do .ca. And it has a questionnaire, and if you fill that out, it will tell you every government program that you qualify for, every grant, like it'll ask you, what is your age, are you an artist, things like that. And so you can find out about, you know, assisted devices programs if you need help getting a wheelchair, home oxygen, anything like that.
What's it called?
It's called Canada Benefits, and I cannot remember if it's .com or .ca. I found out about it by watching the CPAC channel. And I've done it, and it'll tell you everything you need to do.
Thank you for that information. That's great. We'll have that put on our information sheet as well. All right, let's hit the refreshment stand. And unless somebody have another question.
No, I just wanted to say that all the other seminars, you had an info page on
CSARN, right?
And today I noticed it's not there. So I just wondered if you had
the CSARN page. It should. Oh.
You mean the seminars?
No. Then explain who you are. What is CSARN?
Oh, I see.
So that's a really important page, I think.
All right, thank you. Well,